Manufactured spend. So if you have nothing in your head that you would want to do with $5,000 to turn it into 10,000 or 20,000, or at least turn the 5,000 worth of credit into 5,000 in real cash. I could come up with a couple off the top of my head. Simply buying and flipping items. Like there's a Reddit community called r/flipping. Make some fake vouchers in there and act like you're really making money and trade information, right? That's how I came up trading information. I pretended like I had methods, and people who really did have methods traded me for my fake methods, and then I got into real methods and I traded those, right? Was it kind of fucked up? Yes, but I always went back and looked out for the people who helped me on my way up. But yeah, on r/flipping, people buy 5,000 worth of products all day and sell that for 10,000. Like one example was, there was a college and like all the students were leaving and they all had mini fridges. So he just went dorm to dorm and bought all the mini fridges, and because they were leaving, they just wanted to get rid of them. They were selling them for like $20 to $50, and he instantly resold them online for 200 plus. Search mini fridges on r/flipping if you think I'm lying. Reddit.com/r/flipping. And that's just one off the top of my head, literally. I'm not even charging for that information. But let's say you don't have any of that ingenuity about you, and you just want your $50 back, right? And you have 5,000 in available credit, and you just want your $50 back. Well, a great example is the Apple Card, but all other cards do this. They offer a percentage cash back. The reason they do this is cheap fucks like me, like, even if it's the smallest amount of money, they like getting extra money. They like feeling like they got free money. So they're going to buy everything with a credit card. And when they're used to buying everything with a credit card and they're used to paying a month later, they may overspend, right? That's why they offer free cash back. But here's how you use that system and fuck them over with it. You, the Apple Card offers 3% cash back for all Apple products. So if you were to buy one MacBook for, an M1 MacBook for $1,000, M1 MacBook Air, 1,000 times 0.03, that's $30. 0.03 is the 3% cash back. If you buy simply two MacBooks, and you're definitely gonna get $2,000 on your Apple Card, like no question. Even if you say you make $10,000 a year and you live in a shack and you're unemployed, Apple will give a homeless man at least $2,000 on the Apple Card. So you spend that whole $2,000 on two MacBooks, you resell them, and you make your $60 back off manufactured spend. That easy. That easy. You don't even have to resell them necessarily. You can buy them at certain stores that will that have certain return policies where they don't refund it back to your card. You can tell them you have to refund me in cash, or get refunded in gift cards and sell those gift cards, right? There's lots of ways you can go about it. But yeah, there you go. Instantly made your money back from this tier. Yeah, you have to wait, but you're gonna want to wait. You need credit anyways. You need fucking credit. You can't get a house without credit. You can't get a car without credit, or if you do, you're gonna get a high ass APR and get fucked in your ass. You need credit, so just wait for it. And if you're lazy as fuck, do manufacturer spend. You can do that every month too. You can make $60 a month easy if you want it. No risk, no business, no ingenuity or entrepreneurial spirit necessary at all. Okay, credit, the simple version. This is how I had 10,000 in available credit 6 months after having no credit. Maybe like 6.5. I don't know exactly how quick it was, but it was around 6 months. Definitely. This is the method that will pay you back everything you invested here within 6 months and more, right? And you know, a lot of people say things like credit is it's just a $5,000 loan. Well, if you don't have a business mind, you're not going to make it in this world anyway. If you don't have the mind that allows you to turn $5,000, if you don't have 100 ideas to turn $5,000 into $10,000, and you just needed the $5,000 to have an opportunity, if you're not that person, this world is not for you. But even if you are that person, I'm going to show you a way to make $50 easily off of that $5,000 limit with no work, no risk, no business, no intelligence necessary. Just follow steps, right? It's called manufactured spend. I'll tell you at the end if I remember. But yeah, this is how. This is the simple credit method. And this is the basic guide to follow. If you want to learn enough to experiment on your own, there's going to be credit breakdown videos. There's going to be one that drops with this one with the launch of the Patreon, but there's also going to be more. Look into those if you want to. Here I'm gonna build it all for you and tell you what to do step by step. If you want to learn why each piece belongs where it does, and rearrange pieces for yourself to customize it for yourself, you're gonna have to do more research, and that's where that comes in, right? If you don't watch that video and the multiple videos that are gonna come after that, do not deviate from the guide at all. If you deviate even a little bit, you may fuck something up very bad and waste all your time and money, and then you're gonna have to get your credit fixed, right? That's the good thing about credit. Nothing is irremovable. Not student loans, not bankruptcies. Everything is fixable. It's just gonna be a ton of effort to fix it, and it's easier to just not fuck up in the first place. With all that being said, let's go. First, you have to think like a predator. These creditors, the people who are, giving you credit, they're predators. They're preying on you. Why are they loaning you free money? To get you to carry a balance so they can charge you interest, right? Your entire goal is to not do that, right? While still convincing them that you might do it so that they loan you more money. Does that make sense? If you acted like you would never, ever, ever spend money, right? If you got a secured card and you never spent any money on it, what you're showing is this is a person who never spends money. So why would I lend them more, right? Now, if you carry the balance aggressively, let's say you got $1,000 limit, and on your first $1,000 limit, you spent it all. You're showing that you're a person who spends all the money that they get. You're not responsible. You want to be directly in the middle, but you want to be completely in control. You're preying on them while they're trying to prey on you. So, what's the first step? A Discover It card and a Capital One secured card, right? I recommend these two. Now, and the other, not in the video I was going to drop with this, but in the other one, I'm going to break down all the lower level secured cards. Because if you have more cards, it can help you and it can hurt you. But essentially, 2 cards is good enough, and you want those 2 cards to be guaranteed to be ones that turn into non-secured cards, right? Which is why I said the Discover in the Capital One secured. You're gonna have to put up money for these cards if you don't have a credit history. If you have a family member or even like a friend who has credit, and you want them to add you as an authorized user on one of their cards. Now, FICO 8 does not recognize authorized users. FICO 9 as well as FICO 2, 4, 5, and 7 recognize authorized users. The problem is FICO 8 is one of the most popular. So if you're going to use the authorized user method, you need to apply for specific cards. But I'm getting in too deep with that right now. This is just the simple method. I'm sorry. You have to put money up for these secured cards because the banks don't trust you yet. You have no credit. Again, for them to prey on you, you have to have something for them to take. And if you don't even have $400 in your bank account, you're fucked, right? And this was the biggest reason I didn't have credit for the longest. I knew I had to get a secured card, and I didn't want to fucking just put up $200. You get the money right back after 6 months, right? They send it directly to you. It just feels weird trusting your money with someone else. But get over that and pay for the secured credit cards. It's that simple. And how it works is you send a $200 bank deposit. They hold that $200 and they give you a $200 credit card, right? Essentially, if you spent the whole $200 and tried to run off, then they just take the $200 from your account, right? That's how it works. Now, what you do with these cards, you never ever spend more than $7 and never less than $5, right? Spend more than, or I'm thinking of a $100 credit card. Never spend less than 7% and never spend more than 5. 10% is what the credit bureaus say, but me and a lot of other people who research credit have found that 7% is actually better, right? For utilization, right? And we're gonna get deeper into utilization, what that means in the other videos, but just know, never spend more than 7%, but also never spend less than 5%. If you spend less than 5%, sometimes it won't show up on certain credit reports, I've heard. So yeah, spend between $7 and $5 on each card every single month. Every single month, you have to do it every single month because you want to build a positive payment history, right? If you have, again, like I said, if you have a credit card and you don't use it, it's fucking worthless. So just repeat that. every month. If you don't use your credit card, the bank is not going to think you're a spender, and they're not going to lend you more money, right? But if you spend too much, again, they're going to think you're irresponsible, and they're not going to lend you more money. So spend between $5 and $7 every single month. You know, $5.49, $6.76, right? And at the end of that 6 months, they'll send you your money back, right? So they send you the $200 back. They just send it right back to you. And they'll give you a new card that's unsecured, but it'll have the same age. This is really important. You now have 6 more months of age on your credit report. If you were to open, because after 6 months, that's when you get your credit score. For the first 6 months, maybe like in 3 months, you may have a credit score, you may not. I did, but it was a low one. It was like 6 something. But after the 6 months, that's when you're gonna get your fresh 700 credit score. And if you were to apply for a new card at that time, the age on that card would be 0. That looks bad. You have 2 cards that are now $1,000 cards that are essentially new cards for you. You have 6 months on each of them, right? So now you got 2,000, right? You're almost there to the 5,000. Now here's where you start thinking like they do, right? Why do they loan you money? Remember, they're predators. They think, 1, that you're going to spend it at some point, and 2, that you have the capability to pay it back. You need both of these things for them to loan you more money. If you have low income or no income, you may do something like lie about your income, which is illegal, but don't do that. So don't do that, right? But if you did that, if you said you made $100,000 a year applying for an Apple Card, they would give you high limits like $10,000. Yeah, 6 months after you had no credit. I wouldn't apply on the exact day, the exact 6 month date. I would probably wait a day or two. But yeah, and again, that's lying on a credit application. That's illegal. But they're giving out $5,000 to $10,000 limits, simply for people who make 100K. And also, you might just be optimistic, right? You may have like a real good plan and have deep faith in yourself that you will make 100,000 that year. So. So after you apply to those 2 cards, you have 2,000. You apply for the Apple Card, which is going to give you a $5,000 to $10,000 limit. Lots of people are saying this. It's not just me. This is known. Then you're going to apply for the Chase Sapphire card, right? And you're going to get either 2,000, right? The basic 2,000, or you're going to get more depending on whether you lied or not about your income, right? So already you're past the $5,000 threshold. That's what I promised you, but here's more. Now, how do you start getting $10,000 balances? Remember, you have the 2 original cards that have about $1,000 balance, right? You have the Apple Card that you should have applied for right after that. That's going to give you a $5,000 to $6,000 balance, right? Or north of 10 if you lied. As well as a Chase Sapphire, which should be at least 2,000 balance, right? And there's going to be a packet with this video that's going to have all the information you need. The packet's going to drop shortly after these videos drop. But how do you start getting 10K balances on all these cards? Remember, I told you 5,000. What I'm about to tell you right now can get you 50,000 pretty fucking easily. And it's this. Remember, what are the 2 things they need to know? They need to know that, number 1, you're going to spend the money. And number 2, that you can pay it all back. Buy high demand items like laptops, graphics card, and consoles with your cards. Max them all out, but don't carry a balance. Pay them all off right away. Now, you may not have the money, right? You may not have 10,000. It's probably going to be around 10,000 on all those cards, between 6 and 10,000, right? You don't have let's say you don't have the 6 and 10,000 in your bank account. Take those items. I told you. Remember, I told you to buy high demand items. Resell those, right? Sell them on Facebook, Craigslist, OfferUp. Even if you lose 5% on them, which you shouldn't. You've now shown the banks that you can you can spend your entire limit and pay it. This is going to get them to at least double your limit when you ask for a limit increase, right? Provide the reason as utilization. Simply, you don't want to have your utilization high. You just prefer your limit to be 10 times what it is, right? Ask for 10 times. And a lot of times they'll give it to you. Always ask over the phone. Never do a online limit increase. The people on the phone, there's always room there, right? There's always room for negotiation. There's always room for discussion when you're talking to a person. Not so with a machine. Now we go deeper into credit on level 1, but this is more than enough for you to get at the very least 5,000 if you're kind of smart about it and a little tricky and many and movie, you know, 10,000, 20,000, right? And if you really execute every single step perfectly, there's no reason you shouldn't have 50,000 in available credit. And the cards I mentioned in this video are going to be included in the packet, but there's going to be some other cards and at which phase you should apply for those cards at, and other information in the packet. So yeah, that's credit. Turn $50 into 50,000 easy. I told you 5, but really 50 is possible. I don't want to like show y'all like my actual, you know, like all my business and shit, but I have, you know, I have good credit and I have a lot of credit available to me. So yeah. First in-depth credit video, the FICO breakdown. So there are different types of credit scores, but the main one that matters is the FICO score, right? There are more than 5 different FICO scores, right? It really gets deep and complex, and more complex than it's worth actually researching, right? Like for example, I believe there's FICO 2, 4, and 5 for auto and mortgage, right? Who the fuck even uses a FICO 2, 4, or 5, right? A lot of those people are using FICO 8 and 9 now. But regardless, that's too deep. If y'all want to get that deep, let me know and we'll get that deep. But this video is gonna be deeper than the average video. But it's not gonna be so deep that, you know, you're becoming a fucking credit nerd and you know FICO better than FICO knows FICO. You don't really need to do all that to get great credit for yourself, right? You just need to be able to think like the lender, and that's really what this FICO breakdown is about. So there's all these different FICO scores, but they all have these 5 factors. And even though these 5 factors are weighted differently, if they're all perfect, then you will have the best possible score, right? The highest weight factor, and I'm gonna say all these factors in the order of their weight, right? The highest weight factor is usually always payment history. Pay all your payments on time, no matter what. Never miss a payment ever. Ever. Just don't miss a payment. Just don't do it. The next factor that's usually next up, these two sometimes switch places, but for the most part, no. But these two usually make up 60% of the score, and that's utilization, right? Payment history and utilization, 60% of the score. They say 10% and below is great utilization. If you spend 10% or less of the money you get access to with credit, you will always have a great score. I've heard people say it's 7%. I personally myself believe that it's 7%, so I never spend over 7%. So if you have 10K in total available credit, never use more than 700. If you have 1K, never use more than 70, etc., etc. Now, there's caveats to every rule, and specifically with this rule, you should mix in a few 12% and 14% and 18% months for the algorithm. If you make it seem like you're always spending below your utilization limit, companies may reject you, or it may make you more likely to be rejected because there's no risk of you, like they only make money when you slip up and overspend. So if it looks like you're kind of almost slipping up and overspending, but you always get it back under control, that's a good look. The third factor is time. Nothing you can do here but wait. There's certain fraudulent things you could do, and this is level 0, so I'm going to cover. If the CPN video doesn't drop with this one, with this launch, it's going to drop eventually on this tier, and I'll cover the fraudulent shit you can do. But if you're keeping it completely legal, just wait. It's fine. Just wait. I waited. Be patient. But to give yourself the best shot with time, open 3 or more secured cards that upgrade into unsecured cards. And that's why, you know, in the first simple video I said 2, because a lot of people like can't handle more than 2. Setting up automatic payments, making sure, honestly, I think for your first 6 months you shouldn't even have automatic payments. You should be so focused and so disciplined that you remind yourself multiple times, set 2 alarms, set 6 alarms on different phones to make sure you make those payments, because you have to get in your head how serious it is to not miss a payment. But if you're understanding of, you know, the process and how it works, if you have an in-depth understanding, you want to open 3 or more unsecured cards that turn into secured cards. 3 or more secured cards that turn into unsecured cards, because time is calculated based on your average length of a credit account. So if you have 2 accounts that, or let's just say, to make it simple, let's say you have 1 account that's a year old, and now you have opened a new account today that's 0 years old. It's 0 days old, right? Now your average time is going to be 6 months. That's pretty bad. 1 and 1, right in the middle, right? Halfway between 0 years and 1 year is half a year, which is 6 months. Does that make sense? But let's say you had 3 cards, right? Let's say you had 3 cards that were a year old, and now you have 1 that's 0 years old. I don't know the exact math on that. Let's do 4 to make the math easier. Your average age is going to be 3/4 of a year, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be 3/4 of a year, which is how many months? Is 8 months? So, 4. No, it's not 8. 12. Oh yeah, it's 3. It's 9 months. It's exactly 9 months. Your average time is going to be 9 months, which is way better than 6 months. I'm not a fucking math guy. Okay. Next is inquiries, right? If you inquire for a lot of credit, it's going to make it look bad. It's going to make it look like you're desperate for credit. It's going to make it look like you really need the money. So you're going to have to make some inquiries, get them all removed. We talk about how to get them removed on the $100 tier. If you have tons of credit, you should be easily able to afford $100. Oh fuck, I didn't talk about the manufactured spend. I'll talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, if you're inquiring, like right now, I have a ton of inquiries on my credit report. I still have north of 750. But and I'm gonna do this, like, you know, for the $100 tier, I'm gonna show y'all me doing it myself step by step. When I do that, it's gonna go up to like 770, 780, 800 when I remove all the inquiries. I have tons of fucking inquiries. But again, this is lower down the list, so it's not as important. And last is credit mix. Credit mix is the different types of credit, right? So if you're only paying off credit cards, it may look to the companies like, you know, this guy's a credit card man. What would he do with the car loan? What would he do with the house loan? Honestly, it doesn't like make too much fucking sense to me, but this is how they do it. So yeah, you have to show that you are able to pay off lots of different types of credit, not just a lot of credit, right? So if the guy who has $20,000 on a mortgage and $20,000 on credit cards and $20,000 on a car loan looks better than the guy who has $100,000 just on credit cards. So if you follow all these steps, you will have a perfect 800 in a year to a year and a half. I don't know exactly when the 800 comes out. You'll be north of 750 within 6-7 months, and time will be the biggest thing holding you back. And eventually, within a year and a half, you're gonna have an 800. Also, something that's not on your credit score, or not directly on your, it doesn't make up the number of your score, but it's definitely taken into account, is the average limit on your credit cards, right? So if you're applying for an Amex $10,000 limit credit card and you have hella $100 and $200 and $500 credit cards, it's gonna look bad. That's why you don't apply for any other like weird credit cards, and definitely don't apply for any credit card. I'll say that in the manufacturer spend video because that's gonna be shorter. More people are gonna watch that, I assume. Never apply for or respond to any credit card you get in the mail. Not Credit One, those are fucking scams. Just don't follow any credit card advertisement, right? The good credit cards, people are hiding them, or they don't have to advertise because the benefits they have are so good that people are seeking them out on their own, right? And just another free tip for this video, download the Experian app. sign up, make an account, and also make sure that you send the letter opting out of being able to sue them, because you have to sue these credit bureaus as part of the credit repair process. That's like a whole other thing. But make sure you send the letter opting out of the lawsuit, and I'll attach that letter in the package for this video. But use the app multiple times a week, and eventually they'll offer you a free month, right? A free month of Experian Pro, and it'll show you a bunch of Experian FICO scores and FICO 8 for TransUnion and Equifax. And then I'm pretty sure they offer you a free trial, so just cancel it at the end of the free trial, and just rinse and repeat for your free fucking monthly scores, free scores. So yeah, that's a basic FICO breakdown. I was getting in deeper, but really it's the same philosophy, right? It's just certain ways that they go about enacting that philosophy, and that's a philosophy of they're creditor predators. They want you to slip up and spend too much money on a credit card so that you carry a balance and get charged interest, right? That's their whole goal. So they want to see that your utilization is low, because if it's high, they don't want to give you more money. They want to see that you're paying your shit off on time, because if you miss payments that are quick, if you run up 10 bands off Amazon refunds in a week, you're going to fucking jail, right? Unless you're like a unless your OPSEC, operational security, is super high, you're going to jail. But you could literally easily run up 100 bands. And I'll talk about this in the Matt Cox method, but here it is, actually how to do it step by step. You could easily run up 100 bands, and nobody's gonna trip about that, right? These banking, I already told you guys, the banking system, they have free money, they have tons of money, they don't need the extra money. There's not enough fraud being done to affect their bottom line at all. So yeah, how you get the CPNs is, and again, I don't want to tell you guys this, but there's a fucking website that you go to. It's the Social Security website. I don't want to tell you guys the exact website, but if you take a recently issued Social Security number, you can find one that's if you change the digits, you can find recently issued Social Security numbers. Basically, if you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8. Then you could go 6, 7, 8, 8. I forget where I saw this at. 6, 7, 8, 7. 6, 7, 8, 6, right? And you just keep changing the digits until you find a recently issued Social Security number. At which point, it's a kid. It's someone who doesn't have credit history, right? And there's other ways to get Social Security numbers. I think I made an Instagram post about that. But once you have the Social Security number, you create a new credit profile by lighting up that Social Security number in the eyes of the credit bureaus, because believe it or not, there's no real identity of you out there, especially in the eyes of the credit bureaus, right? You don't exist to them until you make your first credit application. So even if you get denied for this application, right, but you shouldn't, it'll be a secured card. When you make that application, and you say, like, let's say the Social Security number actually belongs to Billy Bob, but if you make the application under James Derrick, well, the credit companies only have that Social Security number tied to James Derrick. There's no government database that they search up to make sure that the Social Security number actually belongs to a James Derrick and not a Billy Bob, right? That they don't do that. It's crazy, but it's true. So once you've made that application, you've created a new credit profile. That's where the term CPN comes from. It stands for credit profile number, right? It's always a SSN, but it's a new SSN. It's a blank SSN. It's a clean SSN that's now had a credit profile built around it. And all of your credit is based on that credit profile. So you take that credit profile, you build credit on it with the legal credit methods. But if it's a fake person, you could run off, right? Again, this is about fraud. This is about theory. This is about what I would do to start running up bands quickly if fraud was legalized, right? If there was a fraud purge. This is not a quick one, but it's a slow one, a smooth one, a guaranteed one. One for the brainiacs, one for the people who can just follow simple instructions and make sure they get done. And if you do that, if you do the fucking bare minimum, you'll have bands on bands. Easy.